Everybody, welcome to Xtreme Memories right here on the Wrestling Chatter YouTube channel. And speaking of the Wrestling Chatter YouTube channel, we are coming up, I believe, when this show airs, ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow. After this show airs, it's been 1 year. It was July 31st, 2020, which was episode number 1 of Xtreme Memories. And that was actually the anniversary for the first ever XPW show. So the producers here at the Wrestling Chatter YouTube channel, it was their idea. That's right. It was their idea to debut Xtreme Memories on July 31st, which, again, was the debut show in 1999 of XPW. And so we are now, this episode will be premiering July 30th of 2021. So tomorrow, folks, if you're watching this right when it's up.
1 year. It took you a year to get me on here, Chris.
No, that was you, buddy.
I'm honored. And what a way to start the anniversary. But with me, the international star Danny Monchichi Ramirez, alongside Kris Kloss.
That's right. And we're going to get into all that. But once again, ladies and gentlemen, Xtreme Memories right here on the Wrestling Chatter YouTube channel. We've been consistently running for about a year now, exactly, on the 15th and 30th of every month. We have not missed a 15th, and we have not missed a 30th. So thank you, fans, for all your support, all your continued interest in XPW. And when you subscribe to the Wrestling Chatter channel, hey, the more subscribers we get, the more great content we can bring to you. Like, share, comment, and once again, subscribe. Xtreme Memories right here. And my guest on this episode of Xtreme Memories, hey, this guy's one of the premier referees, but a whole lot more. But of course, you fans know him in XPW as one of the referees from the infancy, from day one in XPW and before. We're going to talk about that as well. Welcome to Xtreme Memories, my good friend, my best friend, the one and only Danny Ramirez, otherwise known as Monchichi.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for having me here. It's a privilege and an honor to finally, after 1 year, be on this show. And the reason why, Chris, I'll tell you why.
Well, wait. You made it within the year because tomorrow is a year. So you made it within that 1 year. Okay.
Well, the reason is this: the smooth haircut, I gotta look good,
You do
always
look good.
Thank you. I shaved everywhere.
And we're going to talk a little bit about something we see in the background there. Of course, you are heading up GXW TV, and I'm affiliated with that as well. So we're going to get into all that. But Danny, we're going to kick it off here. Tell us, like yourself, like me, we're both Angelinos. We're both from LA, and how we got into pro wrestling. But when did you first become, how did you become involved in wrestling? When did you start liking pro wrestling? Because if anyone that knows you personally knows that you completely get the business and you're born to be in this business. So when did the love of wrestling start to come for the Munch?
You know what? I think it had to go back to Wrestlemania 1. And I think it was my older brother who got me into wrestling. And for me, it was just like an escape, from reality to step into some kind of sports, back then I thought was real sport.
Yeah.
And get away from reality and focus on what's going on with Hulk Hogan, which I thought was, the more Hulk Hogan. And I actually looked up to him, But the problem,
the guy's 6'8", of course. I mean, what are you, 5'5"?
I imagine myself. What if I was 6'8"? It was just a fantasy, to escape to escape reality and the stuff that was going on in my life. That was a way for me to move on with life, I guess.
So, but you got to admit, man. Okay. Let's just kick it off by saying this. Before we go any farther, this guy and myself, when we first met each other, we just were like separated at birth, and then somehow we just came together, and he got what I was thinking, I got what he was thinking. The humor, we got each other's humor when others didn't, you know. So it was just the best. And we met before XPW, we met SCCW, we met in Slammers, but it wasn't really until the late 90s where we really started hanging and really getting to know each other. So this gentleman and myself, I'm proud to call a dear friend, my best friend, and my best friend in the wrestling business, this guy right here. So, so I just want to give the fans an idea, because I've interviewed a lot of guys, but this one's a little different, ladies and gentlemen. But anyway, escaping. But also, when did you realize that? Because knowing you, brother, when did you realize that I get this? I get pro wrestling. I know what this is.
You know what? To tell you the truth, I think it has to go back to when I worked at Target. And I mean, I loved wrestling. I used to wrestle in junior high back in 1987. I used to wrestle against high school kids that were in 10th, 11th, and 12th grade because I'm older brother. So for me, wrestling was wrestling. I didn't get into the business until I met Carlos Torres at Target in Pacoima, and he had told me about a place called Slammers. Now, for me, wrestling was, I loved wrestling, and there was always that talk: is wrestling real? Is it fake? What is wrestling? And when Carlos invited me to this place called Slammers, he told me two things: one, be serious, and two, do not flake, because once you start, you can't stop. And I was like, hell yeah, let me go check it out. So when I went to Slammers. I met Bert Langdon, Dynamite D, and I remember the first thing they told me was that once you start wrestling, it's like you're getting adopted to a new family. Wrestling is now your family.
Yeah.
And they showed me around. They told me the ins and outs. And for me, I was like, wow, it's interesting. And I saw the museum. Gorgeous George. I think it was Mr. Wrestler 3. The Fabulous Moolah, all her stuff. And just to interject before you keep going, just to educate the fans that haven't heard, Slammers Wrestling Gym was literally one of a kind place in the middle of an undescript part of the valley, in an undescript warehouse around auto part mechanics garage row, basically, and in Sun Valley. And then you have this little shrine. I know we've said this before, but literally it was a wrestling ring, old black and white pictures around the walls of old time wrestlers. And like Danny's saying, they literally had a museum in there. Fabulous Moolah, all the other names. I remember there was a case with the Russians, with the flag and all the boots, and it's just good stuff. And then you had the locker room, but man, was this place old school. They wouldn't let you in, and you couldn't even touch the ring. Not even touch the ring. That was sacred territory. And so this place existed. And again, it was like one of the only places, not only in SoCal, I mean, at the time, one of the only places like this in the world. And so we were fortunate enough to have this nearby. We'll get into that, how Dynamite D had Wrestle Talk on a radio station because of this place directed. But we were living in the same area. And now, if you would continue, because that Slammers, I always say, needs to be painted. If you've never seen it, we can explain it to death, and hopefully we do it enough justice. Right. Because before Slammers, I was an extra for I don't know if you ever heard of the show called Power Rangers. I was on I think you might have heard of it.
Oh yeah.
I was on the first season. So
you were in the green mask, right?
No, I was not yet. I was supposed to in season 2, but that didn't go through.
Oh.
So when Vern was showing me the ring, he put me inside in the middle of the ring, and he told me, I know you know how to wrestle, but you see that object up there in that corner? And I turned, and there's this camera.
Yeah.
And he said, that right there makes you look this big, and it makes our wrestlers look this big. So I know you can wrestle, but can you referee just to make our guys look big? But when he said that, everything came all the puzzles came together, and I got the picture like, okay, this is a business, there's a camera, this is wrestling, this is entertainment, and it's still a sport to me. So with that got me, I understand the philosophy of the bad guy, the good guy, working the crowd, and what it means to, to show the crowd what a show really is and how to give 100% no matter what. So that, that kind of, that brought me into the business of wrestling. I don't know if I made myself.
That's cool. And you were obviously a fan. And what was it? What year we talking? Right when you got, was that 92?
I think it was between 92. I think I was still in high school. No, it was between 92 and 94.
Okay.
Actually, I think it was before.
Wait a minute. You said between 92 and 94? I got it. I got it. That's 1993. I got it.
Yeah, because I had no kids at that time.
Right.
And the only thing I had was Christmas trees with Carlos Torres.
Yeah,
that was it.
You actually, dude, it was great, man. You actually happened to call up, of all the people to call up on for you fans that saw the last episode, and that was all impromptu. I mean, Danny and I talk all the time, but you just happened to call right when we were signing off with Carlito Montana and sharing that story about when you guys met working at Target and then literally body slamming the Christmas trees. I love that story, man.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, Danny. After so you were reffing in Slammers early on, dude. You were reffing before a lot of. I got into business pretty early, but not as early as you, dude. And I didn't. I think I went into Slammers around that time, but I didn't get involved until a couple of years later. But you
were that obnoxious kid that sat in the corner, tall white guy with a flat top, and you were. Yeah. But we never interacted at that time, which was kind of odd,
No, we never did, but we eventually did, and then and the rest is history. But I'll tell you, you really have more history. If you go into that, we're going to get into XPW right now, but when you go into the XPW locker room, there are not too many guys that were in the business as long as you.
Right.
I mean, there's respect there too that you had, because look, at the end of the day, the camera guys, which we actually did a GXW interview with one of the camera guys at a local wrestling promotion, but we talked about how a lot of times camera guys, announcers, referees sometimes don't get respect at times, but you held court in the locker room because a lot of guys know that you were there before all of them. We're talking about the Messiahs, even the Webbs, the Supremes, Kleinrock. Like, you were there before all of us.
Right. And plus, also, the thing that helped me out also was that I started wrestling since 1987. Right. My older brother used to use me as a dummy for wrestling. He won city championship in wrestling. So when I get into Slammers, I used to wrestle some of those guys, and I was making some of the big guys tap out. Right. So my reputation was like, oh, this guy knows how to wrestle. Right. So at XPW, I got challenged a couple of times, and I don't want to say names, but I won, so I got that respect from a lot of guys.
So when Slammers closed its doors, which was, well, it didn't close its doors, but when we left, because Dynamite D, Patrick Hernandez, and Kevin Kleinrock, Dynamite D had a falling out with Vern Langdon, and he formed the DWO, the Dynamite World Order, and it really was a shoot to basically start his own thing. And then out of the, I won't say the ashes because Slammers wasn't done yet, but out of the origins of Slammers Wrestling Gym came SCCW, Southern California Championship Wrestling, and then there was another company called UIWA. And I know that you worked. I never worked for UIWA, but you did. You worked for UIWA as a ref and SCCW, or just UIWA?
I only did SCCW when they did a big show in Kudahai.
That was way later. That was after 2005, like a reunion show after XPW had folded. Right. But okay, so that was why we really didn't cross paths too much after Slammers, because I went with the crew with SCCW and you went with Gary Key, Supreme.
I think I had retired before that. Yeah, I had retired from Slammers because you know, I was the last show I did at Slammers was when Dynamite did the DWO angle on Vern Langdon at the school that Kevin Kleinrock went to. It was in Sherman Oaks, and I remember a lot of people think that Patrick Hernandez, that I taught Patrick Hernandez. I never taught Patrick Hernandez. As a matter of fact, if I could go back, way back Slammers, can I go back to 1981 real quick?
91?
1981.
Oh, that's right. Okay, I know what you're going to say. Please share that.
1981, the Los Angeles Dodgers beat the New York Yankees for the World Series. The same year, myself, I played for Mary Immaculate Dodgers, and we played against the Santa Rosa Yankees. The last play was a ball hit to first base, who the first base name was Patrick Hernandez. He got the ball, he tagged the runner, and we won the World Series. That means we won the championship. You know, that's the first time I met Patrick. That was back in 1981. And that's how we ended up meeting up again in Slammers. And when we were at Slammers, he had asked me how to, you know, he wanted to be part of wrestling. And I don't know how we ended up in Slammers, but I remember my last show for Slammers was the DWO angle, and Patrick Hernandez was there. And he saw the way I was refereeing, and I never taught him. He just learned from me. But yeah, that was years.
So you did have a hand in mentoring him somewhat.
Somewhat, yes.
Okay.
And Patrick's an awesome guy. You know, he's cool people. You know.
And I know you're a fellow ref, man. Look, dude, he's easily one of the finest refs that not only here in SoCal, but really. I mean, you have your referees that stand out, that people like Joey Morella and certain refs, people like, oh, that was a good ref, Tommy Young with the NWA, and Patrick's one of them, man.
He is. He's good. He's great, and plus he has that authority look, you know, and he's always dressing the part. I think the problem now with some of the referees now, they don't take it serious. You know, you got to be clean cut. You have to have your the black and white stripes tucked in, black belt, red pants, and some black shoes. And there's shows that I've gone to that guys have a ponytail, in the shirts hanging out, and you know, they're wearing, you know what I mean? Yeah, but you're an announcer. But you know, I think because I'm old school, and old school is you got to look the part. And the only thing Patrick had that was different was the little piercing he had, but that was, you know, that was it. Yeah.
So when you were so now we're back to the point in time when you were UIWA, I was SECW, and you were.
I'm sorry, I didn't know those two ran at the same time.
Yeah, they did, and that was, they kind of split off in a way. Gary Key and I know Lester and Joey Supreme, Chaos, and a few others were UIWA with Doc Marley, and it was like myself, Dynamite, Kevin, Damian Steele, Jimmy was the Skull Crusher, were SECW, and back then, like it is now in Indy, they switched, but it was taken a little more serious back then. Even though they weren't exclusive, they kind of stayed with their own companies.
Right.
Okay, so now we're doing that, and all right, you know, we're breaking away. Slammers, we're kind of venturing out, because as good as Slammers was, Vern was very limited. It was like, we're in this group. Right. We don't need to go out there. This is it right here. But on SECW and UIWA, we were going all over Southern California. Let's go to this high school. Let's go to that high school, that. So it felt like we were breaking out a little bit, but nothing to the level of XPW.
Yeah. Yes, plus Slammers capacity when I started was like, I think between 12 and 20 capacity.
One row on the ring.
Yeah.
But again, it was like the old school vibe. Like it was an old warehouse that a mechanic's garage could have been in, but it was like this dim lighting, and Vern, like he put like show lights, like concert lights, to just in the little room, but shine on the ring, and the little lights on the historic pictures. Like it was a beautiful place, dude.
Awesome.
That was like, brother, that should be like a historic landmark, dude.
You know, Slammers kind of reminds me of me. It was small, it was beautiful, it was great, and you know, people should know more about Slammers. Like you know, they should know more about me.
Well, no, but you're part of it though. But no, you know, okay, so we're out of there and we're doing our thing now through Kevin Kleinrock. We get word that all the stuff we're doing with SECW and UIWA, we are getting word that producer, adult film producer, basically found out about, and we found out that he wants to put a lot of money. That he was he was a multi-millionaire at the time.
Well, but Chris, I'm sorry to cut you off.
Mm-hmm.
How did this guy know about SECW? What was it that he found, and who's responsible for that?
Well, it wasn't. No. If you're looking for me, it wasn't. It could have been any one of us, but
for all the fans out there, Chris, you want to talk about flyering, guys? You want to talk about putting your work in? Chris Kloss is known for putting flyers everywhere, in your mailbox, in your bathroom, in your sink, even in your grandma's teeth. He will put a flyer, and I believe that was your flyer. Maybe. That Rob Black, when he came out of Staples Center, he looked at the floor, and he saw a flyer that most likely was from your hands, and he picked it up and he goes, "Oh, what is this?" Right? And he called that number, and I feel it was you. That was your flyer.
Oh, thank you, dude. But yeah, thank you. It was at the Arrowhead Pond Anaheim Honda Center, and it doesn't matter. We did flyer everywhere, but that was WWF, and Rob Black was at the time, which people didn't know, is that Rob Black had a working relationship with Paul Heyman in ECW. Right. He was supplying the Jasmine St. Clairs and whatever, the Ring Girls, and they were kind of starting to work in conjunction with each other. But you know, the word is, the story was, without getting into too many details, is, look, if you know Paul Heyman and you know Rob Black, it's only a matter of time, dude. Right. It's only a matter of time. They're just the personalities are too similar.
Yeah, and alpha.
Yes. Oh, completely. They had this intricate, they both had their own intricate minds, innovative minds. But so basically the long and the short of it was, hey, if I can't work with Paul Heyman, I live out west, I'm going to form my own company. And he happened to get one of our flyers at the Arrowhead Pond Anaheim Honda Center. And that's when it all started. He made the phone call on the SECW flyer to Kevin Kleinrock. And then I don't know, were you there, Danny, when Kevin called that meeting? And it was at Patrick Hernandez's house in also Sun Valley. And I don't think you were there, because at the time that was only SCCW guys. But well,
I wasn't doing wrestling at the time.
Oh, that's right.
Here's how Patrick found me. I was working in dialysis. So I was a hemodialysis technician. I was cleaning, sticking needles, cleaning people's blood. And this elderly lady asked me if I ever played baseball. And I said, yes. And she said, you know what? I have a picture and I think you're in it. And she said that I had wings in my head, like I go, wings? No, I didn't play. I played for the Angels, but I played for the Dodgers. She goes, yes, it's the Dodgers uniform. So when she brought me this picture, I see myself right there. And for some reason, the Dodgers logo, it looked like I had wings in my head. And I look to my right and there's Patrick Hernandez. And I'm like, oh, that was his grandmother. And I told her, I know Patrick. And then she had told him that I was there. So because of that, that's how Patrick was able to reach to me. Because after we won the championship, we lost contact. And because of that, that's how he was able to get in contact with me by his grandmother.
That's amazing. When you think of all the XPW footage, and basically you and Patrick were the two referees for the company. Now knowing, when you watch all that footage, you guys were like childhood friends and played Little League together. Like that's a small world, dude. Even though we are all in SoCal, that's a small world, dude.
Right.
But so when did you first hear the news of XPW? Because you weren't at the meeting. That meeting, by the way, at Patrick's house, his family's house, we all went to sign non-disclosure contracts. Like this was 1 year before the debut show. It was like the summer of '98, and we debuted in July of '99. And this was exactly a year before the show that we all signed secrecy contracts. We couldn't talk about it. So we found out then. When did you first find out about this, what XPW was doing, what it was all about?
It's kind of interesting how you say that. When you guys met, it was 1 year, and then a year later, you had the show. Like this episode is a year later that you started doing this. Right?
Wow. Oh, wow.
What a coincidence.
Yeah. Twilight Zone, baby.
Patrick called me.
Okay.
Patrick Hernandez called me. He said, Danny, you know, I know you're not doing wrestling. I know about your family. I know about your kids. I know the situation that you're in. But Danny, I got to tell you this. I'm going to need your help, Danny. I need you to come out of retirement. I really need you because I can't tell you what we're doing, but it's big. It's something really, really big. And I need you to come out of retirement, Danny. I need your help. Because I wasn't called Monchichi back then. I was called Danny. And he was telling me, and it was like 2 hours later, good old Patrick, I'm all, well, yeah, dude. Yeah, you know, why not? I'm in. Go for it.
What are you trying to say 2 hours later?
Because Patrick, I love how Patrick talks, and he has to go detail, especially with me, because I forget. He has to go detail, or else I'm like, okay, I got imagine the picture, or else I'll forget. So he do a perfect picture of what's going on without telling me what's going on. He gave me a good picture, and I came out of retirement, for that. Thanks to Patrick Hernandez.
So what was the reason for the first time you retired? Kids?
Oh, I was kind of like in an abusive relationship, I had kids, and my spouse wasn't having anything for wrestling, and I couldn't go nowhere. She would tell me, take the kids with me, and she had told me either you quit wrestling or you never see your kids again. So I was like,
wow.
And my kids come first, and my kids come first, and I didn't want to,
All five
no,
kids?
it was 2. At that time, it was only 2.
Well, yeah, back then it was 2. Andy and Chris. Andy and Chris. Yeah. Okay, so you were back, and then Patrick asked you to come out of retirement, and you did. And what? So he explained that all to you. Do you remember where you were and what was going through your mind when you heard about this? Whoa, this guy's got money. Whoa, we might be on television. Like, what were you thinking?
Well, because like I said, I was in an abusive relationship. I was like, because I was done. Like, I was like, man, I was going through so much bullshit, Chris. I was like, I was kind of like done with life. I was just like, I want nothing. I was disowned. A lot of shit happening, man. And when Patrick Hernandez called me, it was like, like a savior. Like it was a way for me to a reason for me to keep moving forward. To okay, now I got this. Because it was tough for me. Because it was just bad timing. It was just everything was horrible, and I was thinking, okay, good. Now I have a chance to do something else with my life. And I love wrestling. I missed wrestling. I missed the guys, and and now the chance to do, I guess, on TV or be on internet or exclusive, I guess, the way he put it. I don't remember the words he said, but that made me go, all right. That was what I kept looking forward to, getting back into wrestling, the thing I love.
And you know what, man? Like, it's in your blood, dude. So, and myself too. And it's like, man, that would have been way too early.
I think it's in my urine too. When I take a piss, I see like wrestling. Just kidding.
Wow. Okay. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Get used to it. The Monchichi humor right there, baby. But okay. So when you Danny found out, and then okay, we're rolling. We're gonna do this show, and then boom, Reseda, California. Exactly 22 years from now, we did right, 22, yeah, we did the debut show. Yeah, right.
I use your foot.
No, come on, stop it, Danny Ramirez, please. But we did the debut show, Reseda, California, Reseda Country Club, which for those of you that don't know, Reseda Country Club, small venue, it's now a church, but it was a very historic concert venue for specifically the San Fernando Valley. I mean, legendary shows where you talk about Reseda Country Club, some of the great concerts in SoCal. They all have.
You know when I tell people about what country club was, I tell them to check out the movie Boogie Nights.
Yes,
that was the country club right there. That's Chuck Landis Country Club. Watch the movie Boogie Nights, and you'll see the country club.
Yeah, that intro shot with that crane camera coming down Sherman Way. It says San Fernando Valley, and you know what's cool about that movie is they actually the traffic lights right there on the corner. You know, like now on the "Don't Walk" sign, it's the guy walking in the hand.
Yeah.
So back in the day, it had the letters "Don't Walk."
Yeah, right.
And they with the city, they took out the "Don't Walk" signs and put the old ones in.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
Yeah,
they didn't work because most of the people that live out there, they don't speak English, they only speak Spanish.
That's why they changed them. Yeah. No, but you know what's funny is actually that is the reason why they changed those "Don't Walk" signs. Right. But no, they didn't have to do too much for that movie to change it, but little things like that they did. And that movie was shot like only a couple of years before we did our show there. Oh, wow. Yeah, it's because that movie came out late 90s and we did our show in the late 90s there. But
how crazy the country club, all the stuff that happened there, all the the events, the parties, and now it's a church.
Oh, dude, right? Exactly. Like all the stuff we did with actually the violence, the porn, the girls, like all that. Yeah.
Porn? What porn? We talking about porn. I don't remember any porn.
so that place is being cleansed right now, basically.
Right.
But no. So what was it like for you knowing now? Okay, leading up to that first show, man. We got introduced. We were having those Tuesday night meetings. You remember the Tuesday night meetings at the Xtreme office in Van Nuys, right by the Van Nuys airport there. And we would do those meetings about a year or so before the show, before the first show. And the programs, the catalog programs with all the bios of the wrestlers were being printed out before we even wrestled. This was unheard of for
plus the ring was there for us to train.
Yes.
And there was times they were filming while we were training.
Yeah.
Remember? And I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna sit this one out. Because they're filming right there where we're training. We're like, oh my God,
Yeah.
Hey, a quick story. Carlos. I mean, Slammers was known as Hombre de Oro. I wanted him so bad at XPW. And finally, when he came to XPW, I met him right there. Remember Toys R Us was down the corner?
Yes. I
met him there to walk back to the office. And I was telling him, yeah, man, XPW is wrestling all this and blah, blah, blah. I was hyping him up. And all right. Then, as soon as I opened the door, it was dark. And I remember they had made it. There's this pathway. And there was this light at the end of the tunnel. And I was telling him, he's like, is this regular? Is this normal? I go, no, I don't know what's going on. And I told him, don't worry about it. All this is about wrestling. And as we're walking, we get closer to the light. There's this female on her knees, butt naked, with like 12 guys around her, all butt naked. And she's taking pictures like,
yep.
And I looked at Carlos and I said, that's not us, bro. We're not doing that. But, that was to expect right there, back then.
That was I was there that day, and that was just painting a picture of what it was like. It was a crazy, it was rock and roll world, it was, yeah.
Right.
And I remember that day walking in, and Supreme's there, and whoever else, Christian Blood at the time, and the West Siders, and these guys, you walk down the street around the office there, and they're like hard asses, they're like okay, like nothing can phase us, and like, dang, no one's gonna mess with these guys. And then we walk in and we all see that, and these big wrestlers are like, oh, they turn into like the 12-year-old version of themselves. And it's like now this weird wrestling world has been trumped by this more extreme world. It was just I mean, really.
But I remember the first time that we started training there, right? We asked where the locker rooms were.
Yes.
So the locker rooms over there. So we, it was Supreme, it was myself. I think Damien Steele. It was like a bunch of us, right? So we go to this locker room, and there's guys there also. And we're thinking, okay, these are the other wrestlers. So we start undressing, whatever, Then we start putting our knee pads and stuff like that. And then we look, and these guys are like, one of them's pumping his penis. The other one clocks his, like, like those straws that bend. He went like a click, click, click. And the other one's like pushing himself. The one's ejecting himself. And we're like, and these guys were like huge, like huge. And we're like looking at them, and then we're looking at each other. And then they go, oh, wait a minute, you guys are the wrestlers, right? And we're like, yes. Yeah, the locker room's over there. When we walked out, we were like walking out, and then we all looked at each other. And we like, yeah, we knew it was fake penises. Oh man, that was funny,
dude. I love it. I love it. But yeah, so that was the atmosphere, man. Like we got thrown into that, and we were all just regular guys, innocent kids, basically.
Innocent? What?
Well, compared to that world, we were normal guys, and we were just like, boom, now we're a part of this wrestling company, and it's part of this like adult film company. It was this kind of rock and roll world, you know what I mean? And
somebody joked with me. They said that I was kind of in the business of the fake. What do you mean the fake? Well, your wrestling is fake, and those girls' orgasms are fake. Nice.
But okay, so yeah, dude, going back now. So Danny, so what were your thoughts, dude? Like going in before that first show even started? Because if you remember, we already knew what a big deal it was. We got the name, we had the ring, we got the venue, we got the stars, and we were doing television, which was unheard of at the time. We had television commercials during Monday Night Raw and WCW Nitro, and also Smack.
Yeah, how smart was Rob on that?
Absolutely,
that was very smart of him,
Absolutely, man, and so that was unheard of at the time. I mean, they don't really do that anymore because cables changed, but at the time it was unheard of, and so we put those television commercials on. You never saw independent wrestling.
Remember the commercials? What the commercials? How they were?
Well, yeah. So it was like this video distorted silhouette of guys, power bombing each other into tables, so you couldn't see who the wrestlers were. We weren't giving away anybody.
Right. No, it was like an element of surprise. Like, who are these guys? Mm-hmm. And it was smart of Rob. Of the commercial, the silhouette, and the Raw and WCW commercial time.
So knowing all this now, we've never been a part of anything like this before. We did the wrestling and all that, but now it was obvious what kind of platform we were going to have. Right. So what was going through your mind leading up to that first show in Reseda and afterward, after the show the dust had settled for that evening?
Well, for me, I was thinking, man, I was hoping. Like, I'm glad I'm here. Let's see how far we can go. And hopefully we can take this as far as we can if we can make it big time. So I don't have to come back and Pacoima and, work for my dad and stuff, because it was surreal, because here you are with your friends, old friends, new friends, and it was a TV production. Yeah. You have your catering, you have your cameras, you have the crowd, and the crowd for them, they were excited. And I'm backstage. I'm looking. I'm thinking, wow, what a feeling to be part of something where we know we have control of, and the fans don't know what to expect. Yes. And it was just like, man, I better not fuck up. I think that, man, I better not fuck up. I better stuff, And I remember some of the guys were asking me like, hey, how am I doing? They were asking me when the match was out there. They're telling me, hey, if I fuck up, let me know. Kind of like asking me to kind of direct them. If I see something bad, or where the hot crowd or where the cold crowd was. And at that time, I don't know what hot meant, like where the hot crowd was. But that kind of helped me out now with how when I used to ref in my later years, I learned how to tell the wrestlers, hey, pick it up. Hey, take your time. Hey, more. Sell it more. The hot crowd's over here. Focus on this side. Hard cam's over there. Because a lot of referees, I don't think they do that now. They don't focus on the hard cam. They don't focus on the crowd. They don't even, focus on the match. They're more concerned. I don't know what the fuck they're concerned, but yeah, And one thing also that I was CPR certified,
right?
Back then. And it helped out a lot because when I'm there, remember these were death matches. People are getting hit with the light tubes and chairs and barbed wire and tits. And chairs, and looking at people's eyes, I will see if somebody was already gone or not gone. So that kind of helped me out too a lot with when I started XPW.
Dude,
but Kris, you know how I got the name Monchichi?
Oh, dude, that was my next question, dude. So everyone knows referee Danny Ramirez, which is your name, your shoot name, like Kris Kloss is my shoot name, and that was the ironic
name. That's not a made-up name.
That's not a made-up name. And I bring that up because ironically, I don't know if you remember this back in the day, but when it was Larry Rivera and myself, everybody thought that my name was a work. My name wasn't my real name. And Rivera, because it just sounds like a normal name, Larry Rivera, people thought that that's his real name. And so that was not his real name. But because of the way my name is spelled, people always assume it's a stage name. But no. So anyway.
But back then you were called Kris Keith Kloss, and your initials were KKK.
Yeah, that was the ongoing joke. It was like, hey, Kris, what's your middle name? Like, cause I'm like, oh, it's Keith. Oh, you the KKK? Like, yeah, my parents forgot about it when they did it. Like, I mean, people think that. No, my real middle name is Michael, everybody. So no, it's not KKK. But that's a joke we do. But check it out. Okay, so I'll
give you my drink.
We are canceled. But the Monchichi name was because people knew you as referee Danny Ramirez, but in the back for the longest time, that name was kayfabe. We didn't tell. That was only a name that the boys knew in the back. The fans didn't know you as Monchichi until
from Slammers.
Right, but then Rob Black named you Monchichi.
Oh, do you remember that day?
I'm gonna put a link in the description, and and there is a famous 80s doll toy called Monchichi. Oh, so something called a leap. And it's a little puppet. Actually, while we're talking about this, I'll get a picture. And then we were in the office once, and they go, "Where's that Danny Ramirez? Where's that referee? That what is he? He looks like what are those things? The fucking Monchichi. Look at this guy. He looks just like the fucking Monchichi."
Well, he was walking towards me, and he was looking for me. He looked at me, and because back then I didn't shave back then, because I was hairy everywhere, Yep. And he saw me, looked at me, goes, "What the fuck? Why the fucking hair your fucking face? What the fuck? You look like a fucking Monchichi doll." And that was it. And they stayed with me since, Which I don't mind,
Dude, we're gonna show a picture of Monchichi, and that's
why I put my hair.
And then when he said that in the meeting, when he said Monchichi, the whole place was like, "Oh yeah, totally."
Yeah,
right. But okay, so that first show, Danny, and then from there, what did it mean to you, brother, when we started doing shows at the LA Sports Arena?
Oh wow. Well, first, like for example, the Country Club, I love that venue because of the concerts. I saw Metallica, Slayer there, and when I was able to do the show there, I was like, oh wow. And back in the locker room, they're like, "Hey man, here's where my favorite band dress. Here's where they party, So then we go to LA Sports Arena, and I went to 2 WrestleManias there. I went to WrestleMania 2nd, and I went to WrestleMania 7.
Right.
So I just remember
7.
like standing behind the curtain, And I'm standing, I'm looking, and I peek out the curtain. I'm looking at the sports arena. I'm thinking, wow, this is fucking awesome, you know. You know, I'm part of wrestling history.
Yeah.
And I remember when they called my name, I went up to the curtain. And for me, I'm just a ref, but when I came out, I felt like I was like the Ultimate Warrior, Hulk Hogan, coming down the aisle, you know. And I'm walking, and I'm looking at the crowd, and they're like, "Fuck you!" And I'm like, "That's right." I want you. But for me, it was kind of like slow motion,
Yeah.
you know, because wow, like it just felt like a dream, you know. And like I walked in, and I get in the ring, and I look around, and I look to where I sat at WrestleMania 7. I remember where I sat, and I'm like, wow, it's just crazy, you know. It's just, man, that was like, that's why I love Rob for that.
Yeah.
You know, I love Rob Black for that, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have that experience, you know, I wouldn't have that chance. I wouldn't have that thing to talk about, you know, to people, how great it was, you know. It's sad that the sports arena is not there no more, but you know, what
you and I actually went down there like a year or two before it was demolished, and it was sad because I think we knew at the time that was the plan. And it was like, no, it didn't seem real, you know, that was going to ever be torn down. And that place was so old, man. That was older than the Forum, you know, and so sad, man. But yeah, we got to do shows there, and yeah, man. I mean, I can share those sentiments, dude. I just remember, like, first off, hearing the news, it was myself, Kevin, Rob, and Webb. We went to go look at the sports arena, and that's when the Sports Arena Commission confirmed that no, WrestleMania didn't WrestleMania 7 wasn't a non-sellout because of the Iraq War. They had to move it next door to the sports arena because they couldn't sell. I asked the guy, I'm like, hey, remember when WrestleMania 7 was going to be at the Coliseum? Now, when they said the Iraq War, he cut me off. And before I even finished, he goes, no, man, they couldn't sell tickets.
How many people fit in the Coliseum anyways, Chris?
What?
How many people fit in the Coliseum?
So the Coliseum would have been over 100,000. The LA Sports Arena for wrestling was 16,000 something. But WrestleMania 7 sold close to 40,000 tickets, which people don't know. That's a lot of tickets, but it wasn't as much as the Silver Dome and the stuff they sold before that. But you know, 40,000 would have looked dismal inside of the Coliseum. So a lot of people got their refunds. I remember I bought a ticket for the LA Coliseum, WrestleMania 7. I sent it. They said, mail your tickets to Figueroa Street. And then they sent me back Sports Arena, LA Sports Arena WrestleMania 7 ticket. So the people that didn't get them in time, they got the refunded. They got refunded.
So you went to WrestleMania 7?
What's up?
You went to WrestleMania 7?
Yeah, I didn't go to number 2, but I went to 7.
I went to number 2 earlier, but that's different. So where were you sitting at? Well, I didn't know you went to WrestleMania 7.
Yeah, we talked about this, I think, in the past, but where the guys came down, the entrance, I was the exact diagonal opposite side up top. And so I was doing the same thing you are, bro. Like when we did our shows there, it wasn't even just when I first got there. I remember I was in the ring with the microphone and I was looking up at where I was freaking sitting at WrestleMania, dude. It was special, bro. And there were 2 WrestleManias at the sports arena.
Yeah. Because I remember also I got cut up by Rey Mysterio Sr. at the sports arena. So when I showed people that match, I was the referee. It was Carlito Montana with the West Siders against Familia Tijuana, or Mexico's Most Wanted. Yeah. And I did a fast count, and Mexican Most Wanted lost. And I remember Rey Mysterio slapped me, and he cut me up with the staple gun. So when I showed people that video, they're like, "Oh my God!" And they asked me, "Where was this at?" And I tell them the sports arena. They're like, "Sports arena? What is that?" I'm like, "Oh." It's like it kind of kills you. Like people don't know what the hell the sports arena is. You know? It's sad. Like what the fuck? You don't know what the sport? They don't know what the country club. They don't know the LA Sports Arena. So it's like, but you know what that means, though, right? That means that now we have to make new memories, like in these new venues. You know, like
absolutely.
Center, you know, whatever the Nokia or what the Nokia theater, whatever.
Nokia.
Nokia. I always say Nokia. I mean, we have to make some new memories now, Chris.
Yes, absolutely right. And we are, dude. And what were your, let me ask you this, Danny, like, okay, you talked about how you felt with the sports arena, with the first show. What were your initial thoughts on the product, XPW product?
Well, it was like, it was like a production. I was waiting for the next step because remember we'll do shows. I think Friday and Saturday we do back-to-back shows. We did Ventura and then we'll do like Hollywood, and then this was the weekend. So then Monday we had Monday Night Wars. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
For people that don't know, it was WCW versus WWE. It was called Monday Night Wars, the best wrestling. And I remember watching it, and Chris Candido was booked on our show. Vampiro was on our show, and I'm watching WWE, and I see I think Chris Candido on that one, and I was like, what the fuck? And I turn it to WCW, and I see Vampiro, and like, wait a minute, these guys were with us this weekend. Yeah. So my thing was, like, we just need that one more step, you know, to be the next top dog, because I don't think ECW was around anymore at that time, or maybe I don't remember, but because I wasn't a big ECW fan. I didn't watch them, but my thing was like, oh man, this is great. You know, what's next? You know, what's next? I just kept waiting for the what's next. Yeah. It was just crazy, man. You know.
What were your when you found out that, okay, we did the sports arena, we're doing all this stuff, the momentum, we got all this money behind us, we got this production movie studio basically. What did it mean to you when you found out, oh my gosh, that's it, we're on television?
Well, I mean, I was on TV already because of Power Ranger stuff, you know. And
but now your name is said. Now you're like you're not an extra now. Now you're part of this company, and you're Danny Ramirez referee, and you're on that television show.
I mean, it felt great because here's the thing that was happening at the time. My dad had a nightclub in downtown LA.
Yes.
And we aired on Saturday nights at 11 o'clock, KJLA. Yep. So at my dad's nightclub, we had these two big, screens, and I will put XPW on there. And people, be dancing, Cowboys, the Mexican Cowboys be dancing. And then you'll see me, and then they turn around like, oh. Hey, tú eres ella, yeah. So it was. However, my dad didn't like it because when he saw me cut up by Rey Mysterio, he was pissed.
Yeah.
And he wanted to send guards with me to the next show, and he was like, what the fuck? He was mad. Even though he never paid me, he was still upset because I was running his nightclub. And then also, like, with my wife at that time, we had gotten an argument. We were walking down the mall, I think Northridge Mall, and we got in an argument. And I remember I was walking with her, and this guy called me, hey. And I don't know, he was calling me. And then next thing I know, this guy's running from behind me. And he's one of those guys that work in the mall. They have those little
kiosks,
like kiosk, whatever. I say kiosk. And he ran and he's like, hey man, what's up? You're Monchichi from XPW, hot dog. And then next thing I know, I had like this crowd, people taking pictures of me. Yeah. And then next thing I know, I'm walking, and then my wife at that time, she holds my hand. She's walking. So I mean, that was a good thing, So it had its moments, and it just felt good. But like I said, I was just waiting for what's next. And it's unfortunate that I had to stop XPW because I had to run my dad's business and stuff like that. So I had left, I think, right after the Heatwave incident happened.
So Heatwave 2000, and then the last show we did at the LA Sports Arena was Go Funk Yourself. Were you at that one?
That's the one I got.
Yeah.
Coming up.
So that was 2000, July of 2000, and you were, like you said, you were gone after that.
Wow. That was 2000?
2000. Yeah. I know, man. But you were gone after that event. You were gone. We didn't see you. Now, XPW, there was a hiatus at that time. If you remember what was going on during the time you were absent, but there was a hiatus. There was no wrestling. And then we came back for Metal Fest in November of 2000. And then beginning in 2001 is when we had those stint of shows at Birmingham High School Patriot Hall. You weren't there. You weren't there. And, we were building the brand and we were getting bigger. It was a little bit of a lull because we had to lose the sports arena. But that in-between time at Patriot Hall was yet to come was the Grand Olympic Auditorium, another historic venue in Los Angeles. And now that's when we saw you return. But what happened? Why did you leave and how did you come back?
Well, if you remember, we used to do shows in Ventura, right? And then come back. Like I said, my relationship that I was in, she didn't support the wrestling, and I had kids with her, and it was the same thing like with Slammers. She told me either you leave or we're done, and I told her I'm not gonna quit this time. So she'll tell me, all right, we'll take the kids with you. So I would drive from Pacoima all the way to Ventura with my 2 kids who were I think 4 and 5 at that time, and I had nobody watching them. So I remember if you watch some of the episodes of XPW, you'll see my kids sitting in the front row, and then you see like this death match. You see Supreme and Homeless Jimmy go over the rail, and it will land where my kids were.
Yes.
You remember that? And thank God for Adriana De Leon. I love her for that. She would take my kids. She knew when to get my kids, and she would take care of my kids at that time. So it was a hassle for me. I think the last straw was when we were in Ventura, and it was like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and we were waiting to get paid. And Missy Hyatt was booked, and Rob needed somebody to pick her up from the hotel, take her to the airport. So my kids were asleep in the back of the car, and he asked any volunteers. My thing was go home, take my kids to sleep. So I volunteered without knowing exactly the specifics. And Big Dick Dudley called me, rest in peace, Big Dick Dudley. He goes, "Hey, buddy, come here, Munch." He gave me like $200. Say, "This is for you. Don't fuck it up. Make sure you pick up Missy Hyatt." I don't remember what time it was, but it's like almost like 3 o'clock in the morning. And I'm just thinking, getting home, take my kids to my ex. My wife that time was pissed. So I go, all right. So I get the money. I go home. I oversleep. I didn't take Missy Hyatt to the airport. She ended up calling a taxi. So then that Tuesday, do you remember the movie Untouchables with Robert De Niro when he has the bat?
Yeah.
Imagine that scene. You walk in, and that time I took one of my cousin, Alex, who was training to be a referee. That's the first time I took him because he was going to be our next ref. And I'm, telling him about XPW, how great it is. Rob Black is the best. Everybody loves me there, whatever. And we go in, and we're sitting on the floor, and Rob's with the football. He's throwing it up. And he's like, football, I love football because it's a team sport. He's throwing the ball up. And I'm like, yeah. I'm all like, yeah, I like football. Yeah. And I tell my cousin, yeah, I like football. And he throws it up. And he's like, and it's a team effort. He throws it up. And I'm like, yeah, team effort. And I tell him, yeah, team effort. And he goes, but once in a while, somebody drops the ball. And I'm like, what? Like, what happened? What the fuck dropped the ball? And then Rob gets the ball. He goes, Monchichi, you dropped the ball. And I'm like, oh, shit. And I remember I said, no. And I hit behind my cousin. He's like, you dropped the fucking ball. You're supposed to take Missy fucking Hyatt to the fucking airport. We fucking paid you, and you still dropped the fucking ball. Now, my question is, should I even keep you? I should fucking fire you right now. I should get rid of you. And I was like, my heart was just like, and he said, but you know what? I'm going to leave it up to everybody. And I'm going to have, I'm asking everybody, if you want me to keep Monchichi at XPW, I want all of you here right now to write me a letter to say why I should keep him. And I was like, And I remember I felt so bad because it was my fault, And I remember at the end of the meeting, by the time the meeting was over, everybody, all the wrestlers wrote why they should keep me.
Damn.
Like, oh man. So that's when I realized I couldn't do my dad's nightclub. I couldn't do the father thing. And that broke my heart because, that was my savior for me, But But that's when I retired again from wrestling. And I was like, oh. So yeah. But I mean, just the love I got from everybody, and everybody wrote, you know, and I was like, wow, like, you know, like somebody loves me, you know. You know. But yeah,
wow, that's strong, man.
that is, dude.
That is.
But I didn't see a letter from you, Kris.
Oh man.
I didn't see a letter from you. What happened to your letter?
Oh yeah. We all did, right?
But dude, that was sweet. You know?
What was your talking about that story, and of course, like you said, you love him for giving us that opportunity. It wouldn't have happened without him. But overall, what was your opinion on Rob Black?
I think seriously with Rob, he should have put more. He should have gotten closer to us as individuals. You know, he should have taken his time to meet and talk with us one-on-one, because you know the things we could do together. Yeah. Everybody, all those guys had something to give more than just wrestling, and he did with some guy like Jesse. Remember Jesse? I think it's Jesse, the one with the teddy bear.
Sybil, Jesse, yeah, Uncle Jess.
He had him build the stages, remember? Yeah. So he got to learn some of the guys, but not everybody. Because if he would have asked me for help for some of the things besides giving somebody a ride, it would probably been different, you know, because, I mean, we all have something to contribute. And I think that's where Rob kind of messed up, because he trusted us in the beginning, but he didn't go all the way. He just went to a certain point where he had to, and then he brought in other guys and started believing in them instead of us. You know what I'm saying? And that's from my understanding was that at the end he didn't listen to nobody from the original XPW guys, right? He was listening to all like whoever was there. I don't know who was there, but I mean that's where I think he, you know. Plus he was a mark also. He was a mark.
Yeah,
he was a mark with money. He was smart in some points, and he had the right mind, but I think he should have kind of trusted us more with helping him run XPW.
Yeah. When you talk about all the matches you've done and reffing at all the venues and being showcased on television, do you have a favorite match of XPW, whether it was your own or just of XPW that you can remember?
That has to be XPW, or it could be.
No. I want to know for the XPW. Yeah.
And I think it has to be the one where I did with Carlito, Westsiders, because that's where, you know, they cut me up and stuff.
Right.
But if you see the video, you can see the staple stuck in my forehead. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, the one thing I remember, Kris, I know you're not gonna like this, and it's just something that stays in my mind, was when we first started in Reseda. Remember, Rob Black had the headset.
Oh yeah.
And you were in the middle of the ring.
Oh
you had the earpiece. Not just you, but everybody. And we had the monitors, and Rob was like, "What the fuck? You just then you're like,
yeah."
But he was red. I mean, red. And I guess somebody talked to him because his blood pressure was gone high. And I guess like on the fifth show, he was like, "Hey, do fucking something." But I just remember watching you, how you're like, but that helped us, because now when we do shows, we're used to, well, at least me, I'm used to like talking to somebody, tell me something at the same time when I'm speaking, and I'm able to you know, do what they're telling me to do at the same time.
Completely. I mean, those moments were needed to clear us out of why we were in that situation in the first place, because now if something like that happens, it's simple to improvise around that. But you know, we were green, dude, and then the lights are on, the camera's on, the music's got to get cued, you know, and yeah, man, when in the early days, man, that was just boom, thrust into all of us, this television product that we were now all a part of, and we really got a lesson. Like, gosh, so much goes into that. There's so much that goes into producing.
Right, because I remember also that you were there with me. We were at a meeting in Chi-Chi's Pizza in Northridge. And I remember one of our guys in our group said, XPW gave a black guy to the wrestling industry. Remember that?
Yep.
And I said, you know what? Yes, it did. Maybe it did, but you know what? At least we left the mark. What the fuck have you done? You know? Remember that?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then also, like, here's the thing with XPW. There were so many haters of XPW. They would talk crap, they'll put it down. And then if you remember Cold Day in Hell, some of those haters were booked for XPW, Cold Day in Hell, and they're wearing the XPW shirt. No, I'm a part of it. Like, no, you're not.
And that was Cold Day in Hell was the reunion show that was presented by Big Vision Entertainment in 2008. So the original XPW, yeah, the original XPW ran from 99 to 03. And then when we were a part of Big Vision Entertainment with Wrestling Society X, well, we'll talk a little bit about that. But you know, this is XPW. But either way, we had the production company, so we did a reunion show for XPW, which the trademark rights were owned by XEG and Big Vision Entertainment. And you're right, it was one of those things where now it's this nostalgic thing, and ECW had been long gone at this point, even to the point where WWE tried bringing it back and it didn't do anything. So this whole competition of, oh, I'm on Team XPW, I'm on Team ECW, kind of died away at this point. And yeah, you're right. There were some, oh yeah, man, I remember XPW. Well, no, you guys were talking shit about XPW, but hey, if you want, you know, come on in, get your ticket and enjoy. But yeah, there was a lot of that. I remember that too at Cold Day in Hell. It was a cold day in hell before these fans would support XPW.
Right. It kind of reminded me of when I saw a documentary on Woodstock. When Woodstock first came out, how everybody was like, oh my God. And then they did, years later, they did like the second Woodstock. And people were like, oh, we're part of Woodstock. But no, it's not the same thing. It's like,
no.
Yeah.
There's a documentary that just came out right now, I think, on HBO about the Woodstock '99 and what a cluster it was. But so you did have okay, your favorite match. When you started out, when XPW was starting out and you were there, whatever era you want to pick in XPW, but who was in your mind the standout star of the company?
In the beginning, it was real deal Damien Steele. In the beginning, he had the look, he had the physique, you know. Plus, I knew him back in Slammers.
Yeah.
He had a short hair, you know, cut hair to the side. And he actually sang on the, what's the name of fucking music? A ska. He was in a ska band. And we used to go to Bakersfield every Thursday. He would pick me up, or Ed Ferreira would pick me up. And I remember driving with Damien Steele on his car, and he will put his music on. And we had a blast. So when I saw him in XPW, man, he looked great, you know? Yeah. He looked good. Like, oh, hell yeah, you know? It was him. Of course, Big Dick Dudley. I love the West Siders, you know? They were great, you know? I love Phenomenon Phil, but he wasn't, you know, that was it, you know? Like, what was it? 5 foot Phil? You know, Supreme, of course, and Chaos wasn't Chaos yet.
Yeah,
it was Joey Munoz, and we used to call him Bucktooth Joey. Me and Supreme, he used to come out. He used to do this. You know, I mean, look what he became now. You know, superstar, rockstar, superstar. Chaos. Yeah. Well, Webb Webb was great too, man. He did really, really good. Because I met Webb in Slammers. He was Peter or something like that. Spidey, I forgot when I met him in Slammer, but he did really good. Webb, I mean,
Spider Malloy,
something like that. Yeah. So Webb, man, my props to Webb, man. He totally 360 what he was in Slammers. That was his own thing, and that was made for him. You know, he was white trash Johnny Webb. You know, like it fit him so well, and he did it so good. You know, he was great. And then there's the announcer, the guy with the ponytail, Chris something. He was awesome, you know. Guido was funny too, but
ring announcer Guido. Shut the hell up, you dumb sons of bitches. Oh man.
And you know, too, Christian Blood.
Yeah.
But that was it, you know, and I kind of like Pancho Killer's gimmick. You know?
Yeah.
and you know, and Jake Lawless too. Jake was good too. It was, I think, the first what was that called, a faction? The first faction was
the hierarchy.
The hierarchy. It was Damien Steele, Jake Lawless, Jasmine St. Clair.
Yeah.
And then wasn't that
Michael Modest? Nicole Bass, yeah.
Yeah, Michael Modest was there too. He was good. But I remember Jasmine St. Clair, when I first met her, she was like, she had her moments, you know, and we I mean, I guess we became good friends at the end, because I remember at the country club, I had my daughter at that time. And at the country club, Jasmine St. Clair, oh my God, that's your daughter? And I say, yeah. And she goes, can I hold her? And I say, yeah. And I let her hold her. And Jasmine St. Clair, her face lit up. She was smiling. And when I saw her, I saw like this little kid, you know, holding my daughter. And oh my God, thank you. She gave me my daughter back, and you know, I gave her back to my ex. And then like she left, and somebody told me, why did you do that? I'm like, do what? Dude, she's a fucking porn star. Why the fuck you let her? Oh, dude, what are you talking about? That's a person. That's my friend. Stop looking at people as fucking like that and see who they are, you know, because, you know, people have problems, but I didn't, because, you know, I love everybody, you know, and I always give everybody a chance. But yeah, but that was my moment.
Yeah, that's people want to label everybody, you know, and define them, and not see.
Did you do a film called Man Smokers, Chris?
Not me.
Not
me. No, I'll tell you, not me. But so Danny, that was we're talking about your second stint in the company, because you were there in the beginning, and then you took off, and then you came back on the first days of the Olympic Auditorium, because we saw you on those first few shows at the Olympic, and then you were gone, man. You didn't do any of the shows at the Pico Rivera Sports Arena, did you?
I did. No. I did.
No. So what happened there? Why did we no longer see you at that point? The fans saw you again later on a huge platform, but talking about XPW, how come you were gone at that moment?
Well, that was the thing with my dad's nightclub. Remember, I told you, when he saw Ramirez started coming up, he wanted to send guards with me at every show. I'm talking about guards with guns. And these guards, they were ex-gang members. So the guards he had, they weren't from different gangs. They were all one clique working as security guards. So they had permits to carry guns. So Heatwave came. You remember Heatwave? Remember, my dad's nightclub is a couple of blocks away from that venue.
Yeah.
And I remember I wanted to go. I remember I told, yeah, I'm going to go because I want to go. And yeah, told me that Rob was going to get so many tickets or something like that.
Yeah.
And I told, you know what? I'll meet you outside when I go. But I couldn't go. Because I wasn't going alone. You know, right. And my dad told me, either you do that or you stay here. Because I can't afford, you know, he didn't pay me. So he said, I can't afford you going over there, wasting your time, taking my guards when I need you here running the nightclub. And you know, but you know, I had to pick the nightclub and stuff, you know, because that's $80,000 a month he was making, you know.
So that was when.
So here's the thing for you people out there: follow your dreams. Don't let people stop you. You know, keep doing your dreams, follow what you love to do, and never give up, and keep doing what you love. Because if you stop, you end up telling stories like I did.
Yeah,
you know? And it sucks, you know. Because when I remember Slammers, when I first retired, right when I retired, that's when WWE came and picked up the refs, which that's where Patrick was. Now, and he told me like, oh fuck, I missed it. And then XPW, when you guys went to Philadelphia,
yeah,
that's when I'm oh man, stuff. You know, the only thing I missed out that I'm glad I wasn't there was when the incident happened with the Messiah, Rob Black. Lizzie Borden. I'm glad I wasn't there when that happened, because I would have been in trouble, you know. Because from what I remember, it was two sides. It was the people that agreed what Rob did, and there's people that didn't agree, or I mean, what they alleged or whatever happened. And you know, it's just like I'm glad I wasn't there, buddy, because that was what a pickle to get into, you know.
Boy, yeah, that was crazy times, and I mean, beyond crazy. It was like, and then it was featured on America's Most Wanted. And
Yeah, I know.
I mean, dude, this was big time stuff, you know. So absolutely. And we talked to Messiah. He was on the show. We had a nice interview with him a while back now. And but so yeah, you were gone, Danny, and then but then you fast forward a few years, a couple of years after that, after XPW was done. We did those reunion shows. The SCCW, you know, did a reunion show, and Kevin had some sort of deal where he could put it on DVD. And again, SCCW would have never had a reunion show, even though it was a thing. It became a thing because of XPW happening after it.
I thought SCCW was before XPW.
Well, it was, but then, no, but we did a reunion, an SCCW reunion show in 2005.
Was that the one you put ahead?
Yes, that was
Okay.
after XPW.
Yeah.
And Ed Ferreira and Vince Russo were at that show.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I remember the big incident that happened in the locker room with Adam Pearce and Eddie Carnage and Supreme.
Refresh my memory.
Well, because Adam Pearce, he wasn't used to death matches and light tubes. Which, I mean, some of it, I mean, everything has its moments, but it got carried away. And I remember in the back locker room, Adam Pearce went up to, I don't remember who he went up to. And the person he went up to all of a sudden got backed up by Carnage, Supreme, and they all got in front of Adam Pearce. Like he was outnumbered.
Yeah.
And it was crazy, you know. It was, and I think also you were with Supreme, and I was next to you. He cut a promo and he got a bottle, a Budweiser bottle, remember? And he hit his head.
Yeah.
Started bleeding.
And that was a real bottle.
Yes, you know.
That was in a Hollywood stunt bottle. Breakaway.
Yeah, so
I mean, when so we did that, and then you know it was a great thing because, like you said, you just shared with everybody, Danny, how you know don't have stories like I did, follow your dream. But
right.
now let's fast forward a couple of years after that SCCW show in 05. Now we have a big opportunity. We'll talk a little bit about that because you were a prominent part as far as a referee is concerned. When we got the call to do Wrestling Society X with a lot of our familiar faces, especially in the front office, Kevin Kleinrock was basically head producer underneath executive producer Houston Curtis, who ran Big Vision Entertainment. But Kevin was greenlit to do this show, and MTV picked it up, and we were a part of it. And I remember this, Danny. I remember this. When you talk about right now how you, I wish I never did this. You at that time, I don't know if you remember, but you were like, there's no way I'm letting this one slip by because you already regretted. Why did I go? Why did I leave XPW? Right. And WSX came around and you're like, nothing could stop you at that point. Yeah, absolutely.
Where were we at the time? Where were we at?
Oh, we were actually.
That was the birth. Global Xtreme Wrestling.
The banner you see behind Danny right now, that was actually, those are old banners that we had. Danny and myself, we used to promote shows in 2005, 2006 for Global Xtreme Wrestling. That's what we called our company. And Danny's family owned a restaurant nightclub in Lancaster, which they had this big outdoor patio that we had wrestling shows at. And we were actually doing these shows, learning all the stuff we learned in XPW. We even to the point where we were putting television commercials on local cable in the high desert there. And we got good crowds, man. And with the whole gimmick was we would do it on the Sundays that WWE had a pay-per-view. So it's like if you buy a ticket, you get to see the wrestling and go inside and see the WWE pay-per-view that Sunday for free. And it was a whole thing. So it was a good
hot wings.
Hey, no, 50-cent wing, 50-cent wing. But then so anyway, we were doing that, and then for a while it was planned that we were going to use GXW as the farm league and developmental grounds for future Wrestling Society X stars, because we got the word. We were at El Rodeo, Danny's Country Club, nightclub up in Lancaster one night after a show or leading up to a show. And man, we got the call, we got signed. And then an hour later, Houston calls me and says, "Hey, Kris, you're the play-by-play guy. You want it?" I'm like, "Absolutely." And like, yeah, we definitely want to go with you. Oh man, thank you so much.
That's awesome, man. You mean,
yeah. And we were there. The ironic thing is we were doing these wrestling shows. So then it's like, oh, you guys are doing shows out there. Great. Let's use that. And so that was the whole catalyst of getting us to keep doing shows. But we were doing that. We originated doing that on our own. But then it was like, well, we got this. Let's use it for future talent and work out. And basically a farm league, a developmental company for future Wrestling Society X stars, which unfortunately never happened. Only went one season, but yeah, we were doing that. We got the word. So you're doing now. You got the call to do Wrestling Society X, and like I said, I remember seeing you. Man, nothing was getting in your way of being a part of that. It felt like.
Right. Yeah, because before that. Kevin had booked me to Guadalajara, Mexico, to do Revolucion X Lucha Libre. And again, my brother was in charge of the restaurant out there. He didn't want me to go. That's when I told him, fuck that. I'm not going to let this chance go. And we did it, Ron Killings was booked. X-Pac was booked. Chaos was booked. Aaron Aguilera was booked. And, quick story about Guadalajara, Mexico. Joey Chaos and Aaron Aguilera, they were the heels, and they wrestled the local town heroes in Guadalajara, and they buried him with the Mexican flag and they spit on it.
Yeah.
Almost caused a riot. And I was like the heel ref, so the crowd wanted to kill us. And I remember when we went to the locker room, the promoter was telling us, "You guys got to leave because they want to beat you up. The crowd's looking for you. There's a lynch mob that wants to beat you guys up." So go to the back, right? So we end up going to the back, and it's Chaos. Chaos doesn't speak Spanish.
Right.
So we're walking, and we're together, and we're going through like this little aisle and outside by the parking lot. And we look, and there's these guys in masks and suits, these wrestlers in masks. And one of them sees us, and they're like, hey, they're right there. And I'm fuck. And Chaos like, oh, shit, we're done for, man. Oh, fucking. And, we go up, we go to them, and they come up to us. They're like, hey, you it is Chaos, like you're Chaos. Goes, yeah, I am. And you're like, yo, and they reach in like this, and Chaos and I were both like holding on to each other, and they pull out this XPW DVD, and they're like, can you sign this? Can you? And they take their masks off, and it's out of respect because XPW was big in Mexico. I mean, they were big, a lot of really big, and it was just that moment when I realized like, wow, how big XPW was. And I think the problem, I think a lot of people didn't take advantage of XPW that they should have had. A lot of the talent that should have been booked for XPW, that's where they missed out. And I think when you asked me earlier about what I thought about XPW, what were other people's thoughts? Why didn't they think like we were? Like, how come they didn't take advantage? Why did they want to be part of it? Because I think if we had more guys involved with XPW, then I think maybe Rob would have not gone out to get more talent if we had more talent. Do you agree with me on that? I mean, that's my thought, So,
I think, yeah, okay.
Right? I mean, that's what I'm thinking because there's a lot of talent in Southern California, a lot. And if all those guys would have came to XPW, we would have had a beautiful roster, man. It would have been great, But it didn't happen. So when we do Revolucion X Lucha Libre, Vampiro and Kevin were in charge of that. And I remember we got death threats, so that's why we canceled that. But I remember, I think Kevin, somebody said, "Don't worry, we got another thing coming up," which was WSX, Yeah. And when I found out about WSX, and I remember we went to go to the pilot.
Yeah.
And it was at the famous Laverne and Shirley warehouse. Remember the big pole, whatever the
brewery.
The brewery. Yeah, excuse my English. The brewery. And it's just like when we got there, it was awesome, dude, because we're in there and the inside looks totally different. you know, here's the setup, here's the art. And I remember I went in with my Suicidal Tendencies shirt, and I'm walking, and then Kevin looks at me, and he goes, "Oh, how did you know?" Well, how do I know about what? Dude, the art in the background, that's from Suicidal Tendencies. It's Mike Clark. I'm like, nah, Bruce. He goes, yeah. And then I remember I'm standing next to Mike Clark, and I'm like, dude, you're Suicidal Tendencies. He goes, yeah. And then he goes, man, you guys are fucking crazy. We're crazy, dude. You're Suicidal Tendencies, dude. You guys are crazy. Nah, man, you guys are wild, dude. The shit, the fucking bombs, the bomb, the blood, the chairs, and all that. And because he saw some of the XPW stuff, you guys are fucking crazy. And I'm thinking, wow, this is my favorite band, Suicidal Tendencies, telling me that we're fucking crazy, wow. You know? And, you know, I never told Kevin, but, you know, Kevin Kleinrock, if you're watching, thank you for that, man. You fucking made my day. It was awesome, you know? And the WSX was way different from XPW.
Right.
Because XPW, we weren't sure. We just knew that porn was in it. And that was the thing with XPW. XPW is being run by a porn company. Nobody said it was his own promotion. You know, and nobody called us an independent. You know, because an independent promotion is those indie shows that have like small venues. Yeah. We were never called an indie promotion. Yeah. We were called promotion, you know? Yeah. Which kind of, you know, yeah. So MTV, WSX, it was just like, and plus I took a guitar shot by New Jack. Rest in peace, New Jack.
Yeah, rest in peace, bro. That was on the first episode, right? Yeah, during the Rumble. And you know what sucks about that? MTV they watered our show down so much because they edited so much out. And that was one of them. Dude, that guitar sounded so epic when it hit you in the head. It literally, like, it made a natural, no help with audio or anything. It was just like this crushing boom explosion. And it was like, oh my gosh, that was the best freaking guitar shot ever. And they freaking muted it.
Yeah.
Dude, and of all the things to mute, like, we even after it happened, like, dude, the sound was like, what the heck? I've never heard anything like that. And the reaction, and they muted it. And I'm like, I remember when they did that, like, oh, dude, is this the beginning of them just coming in and the non-wrestling minds basically ruining a wrestling show and keeping the people in the back that knew wrestling silent? Right. And man, it was so bittersweet, that whole experience, because you were seeing something great, but then you were also just watching it implode with all these network execs. And
I mean, I don't know if you remember that we went to when they were editing the episodes. Remember we did a walkthrough, you and I, and they were editing the shows, and I remember we were watching the way they were editing it, and they weren't editing it to make it look like a wrestling show. They were editing it to make it look like some kind of stunt phenomenon or something like that. Remember, because they would have this guy jumping off the turnbuckle, and then they pause it, and they will like they'll stretch it out, and it was like, it didn't look like a wrestling show. It looked like a music video. You remember?
Yeah.
And I was like, and that's when you looked at me like, ah, man, it's horrible. You know, it was horrible. But
so Wrestling Society X, it was still a great experience, and it gave a lot of guys a lot of exposure worldwide, in a different way that XPW did. I mean, look, it was on MTV at the end of the day. So I remember
it was on Thursdays, same time. Tuesday, the same time ECW was on.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, so there was a death sentence right there, and they preempted it on Sunday nights. So very strange. But now when you talk about Wrestling Society X and XPW, go back and talk now before we wrap up, Danny. Anything you want to say as far as like stuff about the intricacies of like you coming in and out of the business? And also I want to get into GXW, because this is something that you are spearheading right now. Myself, Martin Torreya, we're going out through all sorts of independent wrestling promotions like MPW, Millennium Pro Wrestling, which is every Friday night at 7:30 in Chatsworth. MPW. Every other Sunday, we're doing Lucha Libre down in Santa Ana. Puro Resu. We're doing XWW stuff with Mr. California down in Stanton, Extreme World Wrestling. I got some stuff on the East Coast coming up, the Carnage Cup in a little while. And then, so anyway, that's what GXW is. Can you basically explain to the fans, like, what gave you this idea? Because GXW is basically just going to other promotions featuring these wrestlers and is going to create a championship belt that can be defended and lost and won in any different fed, right?
Right. I think I got the idea from like from NWA. Remember they had the territories?
Yeah.
Back in the days. Well, my thing was like, wrestling is back. So how can we get everybody to watch everything that's going on? We can't force people to go to every promotion. So if we're able to have a showcase, a network where we could show the promotions that are working with us right now, which, by the way, EWF, Jesse Hernandez, Empire Wrestling Federation, they just joined us.
Oh, wow.
And I got another company in New Jersey. I forgot the name of the promotion. They want to work with us also.
Okay.
So we're going to be able to showcase some of the talent, new talents, and then showcase their matches, which, by the way, we're going to be able to see a match. You and I are going to do the play-by-play on it. So we're doing the play-by-play on some of these matches, and people are going to be able to see, these promotions on our network.
Yeah.
So it's also going to cross-promote all these other promotions. And my thing also, the idea with Kevin Kleinrock's SECW, I'm planning maybe in a year or two to do like this tournament, this Indie Mania, where all these promotions that are working with us will get their top talent to be part of this show that we're going to do maybe in a year or two.
Okay.
Like superstars of each promotion and stuff like that, Because I mean, I think we need to show people that wrestling's back, and there's a new talent. Plus, the old talent that's there and stuff like that. And people love wrestling. It's just, it's, we love wrestling, and it's in our blood. Even though I retire, it's still in us,
Yeah.
And plus, I have one of the best commentators in the world, the guy that doesn't need WWE. WWE doesn't need you, bro. You're Kris Kloss, you're the name, bro. So
WWE does need me, or I don't need WWE.
No, you don't need them or whatever,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But no, it's interesting.
And also, cut you up. GXW not just about wrestling. We're also dealing with the music department. So I'm working with some groups, some record labels that are going to be able to, give me songs to certain wrestlers.
Oh, okay.
So when these wrestlers come out, they have their theme song already that's exclusive for them.
Yeah.
So wherever they go, they have their theme song, and whatever band has, they're going to also talk about the wrestlers. So we're kind of marketing off each other,
That's definitely a nuisance. I mean, you see it on WWE Network, Peacock, and we dealt with that with Big Vision Entertainment, which was like, oh man, we got to edit all these songs out. So that definitely can be a headache. And the guys, the workers kind of lose their identity because they got to fill it in with some generic music that doesn't fit whatever their character. But that's the first I heard about the Jesse Hernandez today and New Jersey company joining GXW. That's congratulations. No, it's an interesting concept. You presented it to me a few weeks back, and it kind of reminded me about if you remember way back in the day, Joe Pedicino, and Pedicino knows, and he would have a news segment. And he was the first guy to do it back in the day when it was forbidden. And he was kind of like the sports center for professional wrestling. And he would talk about the different companies. Usually you only heard news about a company within that company, from that company. Right. And you only heard news from NWA, or from WWF, from WWF. And then Pedicino, he was talking about all these different feds. It was like the real news, or Sports Center again, for professional wrestling. And that's when I first heard about your concept with GXW and GXW TV, Global Xtreme Wrestling. I'm like, sign me up, because I like that idea, because you don't see it too often. Even today, when you work for even the indie fed, because concept, correct me if I'm wrong, but GXW it's basically just going to be like a sports center for independent wrestling all over the place. And
Right.
and then eventually, what is it? You're going to create a championship belt, and that belt can be won and lost and defended. It's not exclusive to one particular company, but it's going to be defended, won, lost in all these different companies.
Right. Well, it's going to be showcased in all the promotions that are working with us. That's where the belt will be able to be defended, or you know. And I'm also thinking of doing a tag team and maybe a women's, because one belt, I don't think it's enough. One belt. Now that all these promotions are starting to hit me up, you know. So, you know, we'll see how it goes. And the thing that the company I started is called GXE Productions. So it's gonna deal with music, wrestling, and also some kind of, you know, side stuff, you know, like acting some sketches and stuff like that. Because wrestlers have ideas, they have minds, they want to create stuff. And I don't know if you remember. Do you remember Jimmy Mayhem?
Yeah.
Big guy, right? Huge guy. Don't know if he did show enough. Man, that guy's mind, he was really creative. And I don't know if you weren't there. We did some sketches. I was the Black Bat alongside the Red Bat, and we were called the Batos Locos. You know, and we were the Bureau Agency Terminating Terrorism Organization Services, and we were we fought against a terrorist organization called HEAL, hating everybody's luchadors, you know, wrestling. So the concept for that, the idea for that show was, you know how wrestlers get hurt and they can't wrestle. So if we could do a show where, you know, the Bato Locos against, on this episode, we fight against, boom, but kind of like a Batman and Robin kind of like, you know, cheesy kind of thing where we fight, but it's one shot, one camera, and we use wrestlers from different promotions, and their faces and the promotion, they're good guys on our show, and their heels on the promotion, they're bad guys on our show, and we get to fight them, and we do our own stunts. And we recorded one episode, but unfortunately, I ran out of funds back then, so we never finished it. But I'm planning on doing that again, which people loved it, you know. So, but now we have the podcast, the Bato Locos podcast.
That's right. And then we want to welcome people to join the Red Bat YouTube channel and check those videos out of Los Batos Locos, a little fun kind of comedy, intricate wrestling show that we do on the side. The Red Bat YouTube, youtube.com/The Red Bat, along with the Wrestling Chatter. Subscribe to both. But also, Danny, tell us then. I know you're working on a website. The website you got down below, that might be used, it might be not, because this is the infancy stages right now of GXW. But of course, like I said, the companies MPW, XWW, even the SCWA, which I'm going to be part of, we'll talk to them. Jesse Hernandez, all these companies, Puto Resu, and back east as well. Of course, when you go to these shows, you might even see that banner hanging up, GXW, because a lot of the interviews take place at these venues. So it's a very interesting concept. I love it a lot, and it's just, again, it's exposure for the talent, and it also kind of lets one Fed know about the other Fed, because I was talking before, back in XPW, for example, I didn't even know what was going on in WWE anymore because I was so focused on everything XPW. I actually lost touch in the wrestling business while I'm working in the wrestling business, because you're just so caught up. So I think what GXW Global does is it allows every information to cross paths. And the title, I think the title you're going to implement is definitely going to do that. And it ends up being a perfect name for your company, because it's global, you're doing it, and it is an extreme concept, you know?
Right.
So you're going global, going around to all these different feds, but where do we find more info? And we'll also pop some links down below as well. But where do we find any info right now before the website?
Right now it's on Facebook. It's GXW TV. It's a group. I guess just look it up, ask for it to be added. And I guess our Facebooks, Daniel Ramirez Facebook, and yours, Kris Kloss, Kris Keith Kloss. But and for right now, because I am working on a network, I'm working on the channel right now. It's just I want to make sure everything's right.
Yeah.
You know, make sure everything's good because I want to put a good product. You know, and hopefully everything works out fine.
Okay,
Plus
great.
also, Kris, real quick, any promotions out there? I mean, you don't have to be SoCal. I mean, like I said, there's some out east. Any promotion that wants to be part of GXW, just hit us up, you know, and let us know that you want to be part of us. And because also, real quick, we're gonna do a live commentating on a show, a one match. Like for example, MPW, we'll do a one live Facebook Live, a one match with you and Martin commentating live. So that gives a chance for people to see one match for this particular promotion. And my plan is to do one for each promotion if we can, you know?
Well, I'm happy to work with and for you once again, Danny. It's a great.
I need this, Kris. I need this. Every show, class.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Yeah. We're interviewing you right now, my friend. But okay. But no, it's a great concept. And like I said, it's in the infancy stages right now. And it's different, and I like it, and it's just it ties everything together. So best of luck with that, and we'll be keeping posted on that in the weeks and months to come. But before we sign off, Monchichi, Danny Ramirez, my buddy, thanks for joining us finally. I want to ask you though, before we leave, this is XPW.
7 inches. Oh wait, what's the question?
TMI. Yeah, sure. But anyway, no, I want
really quick. Do you remember Bikini Brawl?
Yes.
Okay,
the drunken ref. But well, no, we're not talking about Xtreme Associates. We're talking about XPW. But my question to you is well, I want to ask everybody from the vantage point of you as the ref, but also as a fan, someone who knows, loves professional wrestling. Looking back now, the longevity of the history of pro wrestling, and we were there for that chunk of time. In your mind, what is the legacy of XPW?
I mean, it left its mark in wrestling. I mean, I guess we're like the stepchild of wrestling, maybe.
The black sheep.
Black sheep. There you go.
Yeah.
But I guess how I see it. But I mean, there's no complaints for me. We left a mark. We did what we had to, and I guess the people are hating. The people who are complaining are the haters that weren't part of us. You know. And for me, I'm proud to be part of XPW. I'm happy to be part of XPW. And I mean, what else can I say? Like, we're a part of history.
Yeah.
You know, we are. Because remember, what number were we at? As an independent company, XPW was number, I don't know what, on DVD? 4. But at
one point, Extra TV, it was the number 4 sports, not wrestling, sports DVD in the country.
But worldwide too, right? I mean, who else could say that?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
We can, you know.
You know what? Actually, I'm surprised I forgot to mention that on a few episodes, but that is a good point to bring up about one part of the history of the company. Yeah.
Because how long? I mean, people still talk about XPW. You know, people remember. And here's the thing: when we go to a promotion, you and I. And we put this banner, and there's new talent, everybody that's new, and we introduce ourselves. They don't know us, but once I tell them XPW, by the end of the show, they're like, oh, they come and they realize who we are, who you are exactly, and they come and they want to take pictures, you know. So
it's an honor. It's an absolute honor and a pleasure, and it's very humbling. And I'll tell you, like, it's very cool to see after doing this show specifically. It's just I can't say it enough to where like it's amazing how many people are still interested in all this and have been. It's awesome, and thank you, fans. Thank you, all you guys. It's an honor. It is. And on that note, Danny, and before we leave, any other plugs, or did you kind of list them all, or where can we find you, or anything you want to add before, or last messages to the fans, or what you want to plug?
The only thing about any bands out there that want to work with GXE, GXW, any promotions, never give up on your dreams. You know, you want to be with people that celebrate life with you, not people that tolerate you. And no matter what, be grateful what you have, and you never know where people go, you know. And rest in peace, Supreme. We just lost, you know. I remember Big Q 2 years, I guess. You know, and it's just like it's life, you know.
Yeah.
But when you live life and you leave memories, you want people, like, when you pass away, you want people to say, "Oh man, that guy was fucking awesome."
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what you want to shoot for.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Well, hopefully the fans will be saying this interview was awesome, because we're closing this interview right now.
I know where they all live.
Danny Monchichi Ramirez, thank you so much. Fans out there, this has been another episode of Xtreme Memories on the Wrestling Chatter YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe right here. Subscribe, hit that bell, that notification, and turn the red to gray. Thank you, fans, and we'll see you next time for more Xtreme Memories right here on the Wrestling Chatter channel. Sayonara.
Thank you for watching Xtreme Memories, hosted by Kris Kloss. He's dropping new episodes every month on the 15th and 30th. You can be the first to tune in by subscribing to the Wrestling Chatter channel right here on YouTube. See you next time.